Hey, brother, it's me, Evan. I have to kind of talk a little quiet, unfortunately. At least I feel like I do because it is currently 5 in the morning and my neighbors below me can hear every word that I say if I speak too loudly. So, I guess today I'm going to talk about my obsession with the game series Dark Souls. A lot of you have probably heard of that game. It's a great game. My introduction to Dark Souls, I think I was 15 or no, my bad. It was 2015. I wasn't 15. The year was 2015 or 2016. I can't really remember. But I had a friend back in those days who he was super into Dark Souls 2. I at the time had never really heard of the series. I knew nothing about it. I don't know how I had never heard of Dark Souls because I spent every minute like sitting in front of my PlayStation, my PS4 to be exact. Anyway, I spent a lot of time in front of my PS4 and we would be up super late all hours of the night just I'd be playing Minecraft or something stupid, and he would be on Dark Souls 2. And he says, Evan, have you ever tried this game? And I told him, no, I don't know what that is. Long story short, I went to the PlayStation Store and I decided to look it up, do a little investigating, give it a try. So I downloaded it. And immediately I fucking hated that game. I didn't know what I was doing. There was pigs running around the town, and I tried to kill them, and then they killed me because they're very strong pigs. And there's a well that I fell down into, and overall, I just wasn't having a good time. So I promptly put it down, and I never touched it again. That's not true. I did go back to play it, but much later. Anyway, a couple months passed by, and there's this new game coming out called Bloodborne. And he was super stoked about it because, that's kind of how FromSoft fans are. There's a new game announced by FromSoftware and we shit our pants. I remember the night it came out because I didn't buy it that night, but he did, and we were in a PlayStation party, and he was just going apeshit bananas about this new Bloodborne game. And I wanted to get in on the hype. I watched the trailer for it. I decided it looked pretty sick. I knew it was by the same developer as Dark Souls 2, which I obviously wasn't a huge fan of. But I bought it, and I was playing it, and I, again, had no idea what I was doing. Because you spawn in a house, and then you go down the stairs, and there's a giant wolf, and he kills you. It's supposed to be on purpose. He's supposed to kill you. So you go to the hunter's dream to pick out your weapons and whatnot. And I thought that was super cool. That's a super cool thing in that game. But I just remember it was just so brutal, dude. Like, the entire town of Yarnum, like, you walk through it and just, like, the simplest NPC with, like, a pitchfork can just two-shot you, and then you're just done, and then you're dead. But I muddled through it a little bit. For someone who wasn't really acquainted too much with Souls games, I was like, what is this? Why am I playing this game? There's like this part a little bit further into the beginning area where you walk up into like this giant plaza area, and there's like, no joke, like 20 fucking dudes with pitchforks and torches, and they're just waiting there. They're looking at this giant wolf burning on a cross, and I thought, damn, this is metal as fuck. But they kill you very easily because there's a lot of them. And I just remember being stuck in the same little area in the first starting area. I couldn't get out of Central Yarnum, so I didn't know how anything worked. I didn't know you needed insight to go level up your person at the hunter's dream, because FromSoft games don't really explain that to you, which now I'm a huge fan of. I love a convoluted story, or lack. I don't want to say lack thereof, because there is a very deep story to that game, but the way it presents itself is very mysterious. But anyway, yeah, I didn't know you needed insight. I didn't know you could like level up your weapons, your health, all your stats, all your whatnot. So I just kind of ran around that area and kept dying hundreds of times, and I put the game down. I put the game down for months, for quite a few months. But it always lingered in the back of my mind. I knew it was there. I knew it was there, and I knew maybe someday I was gonna play it. And so a couple months pass, and I'm looking through my PlayStation library because that's all I had at the time. I just had a PS4. I didn't have my PC or anything. This was back in like 2015. I didn't even know what a computer was. Eventually, I feel like, as most Souls enthusiasts do, you'll circle back around and you pick up the game again when you need the game the most, and you start playing it. This time things kind of started clicking for me a little bit more. I watched, some tips and tricks YouTube videos on the game, so I kind of had a better understanding of what the vibe was. I kind of knew what I was doing a little bit more. And so I kind of just was muddling through. I got through Central Yarnum. I got through all that shit. I became obsessed with this game. I beat it, and I wanted more. I wanted so much more. And luckily, I had so much more because I had Dark Souls 2. I had Dark Souls 1, which I don't know. I played all of these games out of order for some reason. Like, I started with 2, then I played Bloodborne, and then I think Dark Souls 3 came out, like, not too far. Maybe it was 2017, 2016, I don't remember. But I played 3, and then I played Sekiro, and then I played the first one, and then I played the Demon Souls remake. I still, to this day, have not played the OG Demon Souls, which I want to change desperately. I'm in need of a new, well, not, I guess not new, but another Souls experience. The way these games just get you, like, once you understand, like, what it is that makes a Souls game great, and it's really hard to put into words because they're so just convoluted. The story, the item descriptions, nothing makes sense. But that's not why you play those games. You play them because it feels so good to beat those bosses. It feels so good to just, you're struggling with an enemy for so long, and then you go back time and time again, and then you finally beat the boss. And it's one of the best feelings, one of the best gamer epic moments. It feels so good, and it's ruined every other video game for me. I can't sit down and play any other video game now. I used to play video games all the time, but that's all I used to do. I love them. Like, I grew up with a Nintendo 64, and I would watch my dad play Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64, and I think that's where I started. And I had a GameCube after that, and I was obsessed with the GameCube, one of the greatest consoles of all time. And then, I had a Game Boy, I had a DS, I had all that Nintendo shit. I was a really big Nintendo guy growing up. Like, I didn't have I think the first, like, actual console outside of Nintendo that I bought was the Xbox 360. I've always been a gamer. I've always been gaming. Recently, not so much, because I don't know, I can't get into games anymore, but that's a topic for another video. Except for Souls games, I can always play those. But the way those games just get you, man, like, I don't know, it's something truly special, something very special that FromSoftware was able to capture and convey to, their fans, their vision. Miyazaki is, well, he never misses. Miyazaki never misses. And just like the themes of the Souls games, like, probably an unpopular opinion, but the actual Dark Souls games are my least favorite in the franchise. I still obviously love them because I'm a Souls fan, and Miyazaki could shit out some poop, and I'd still play it because it's made by FromSoftware. Oh, it's getting a little hot in here. I don't remember where I was going with that. Very early. It's 5 a.m. right now. I guess I'll talk a little bit about, like, what I was going through at the time back in, like, 2015. It wasn't anything, like, super serious. I was a super angsty boy growing up. I had a lot of family household issues growing up. Parents, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love both of my parents dearly, but there was a lot of fighting going on in the household. There was a lot of money issues pretty much my entire life growing up. There was always alcohol issues involved, and just it wasn't a very positive household to grow up in. It wasn't all bad. I'm not gonna say I had the worst life growing up, but there were a lot of issues. My form of escapism was playing video games. Like I would kind of just get engrossed in these worlds and just it was my escape. Really into my early adult years, back when I was like 17, 18, 19. I had my first job at Arby's. That's when I bought my PlayStation 4, and I was kind of just, I don't know, I started getting into alcohol a lot. So I was drinking quite a bit of alcohol. So I was just not, and I had this crazy anxiety thing that I'm glad is better now, but like, I think they call it like derealization, depersonalization, something along those lines, where I would just feel so out of it all the time. And I was smoking a lot of weed, which for me, I can't smoke weed because it makes me very anxious and I get crazy panic attacks. And I feel literally just like out of my goddamn mind. But, like heart racing, fucking beating out of my chest. Like I cannot hang, but that didn't really stop me from trying. I would smoke all the time, before school, after school. I was, the typical high school stoner kid. But needless to say, my mental state wasn't great. And when I started really getting into Bloodborne, it just kind of, something about those worlds really connected with me when I finally started like getting into it. And that's something that not a lot of games could do for me back in those days. And it really just, I don't know, I don't want to say like, I don't want to come off as corny and be like, Bloodborne changed my life and all this shit, because, obviously it wasn't, a video game can't really do that. But I don't know, it was a really big form of escapism for me in those days. So I'm very thankful for Miyazaki for, introducing me to those worlds, because I will always have very fond memories of them. I'm sorry if this video is kind of scatterbrained. I'm not necessarily good at communicating my thoughts. Never have been. I think a lot, but I have issues putting those thoughts into words. So I feel like making this video is a good practice for me to do that, so I can communicate. Because I got a lot of shit going on in this noodle of mine up here, but again, I'm very not good at communicating. So it's something I'm working on, something I'm really trying to do here. But yeah, I'm just real thankful for the Souls games. I'm thankful for anyone who decided to watch me yap about it for the last, 15, 20 minutes. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.